T.I.'s son, King. King Harris has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
Tonight, we're not declaring anything as fact. We're unpacking what people say is happening. The timeline is messy, the whispers are loud, and the stakes feel life or death. Multiple blogs and sources close to the situation are pushing one chilling storyline: T.I.'s son. King Harris, allegedly caught in a jailhouse ambush so vicious it triggered a full lockdown. With frantic calls, tearful arguments, and a family scrambling to control a wildfire they did not see coming. Fans are shocked, timelines are split, and emotions ran high.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime.
High as unverified clips, screenshots, and anonymous quotes pour into the feed like gasoline on concrete. Some claim the attack was a planned hit meant to humble a celebrity kid. Others insist it was a scuffle gone wrong that spiraled in seconds. The family was left divided in the comment sections, supporters praying for recovery, while critics say fame can't protect anyone behind steel doors. We can't say what really happened inside those walls. We can only track the surge of reports, the contradictions, and the eerie gaps where camera footage should be. If the rumors are even half true, this isn't about music or clout anymore. This is about survival, silence, and a name that suddenly feels heavier than ever. King Harris's name has been tangled in drama for months, but the storm that blew in this time feels different, darker, and far more dangerous. People online are buzzing with claims that his time behind bars has turned into a living nightmare. And the latest round of whispers paints a picture that is almost too brutal to believe. According to what's being shared, King didn't just get caught up in a random fight like so many young men do in prison. Insiders are describing a deliberate ambush. It's a kind of chilling setup that sounds more like a scene from a violent movie than real life. The story goes that he was surrounded inside his block, attacked with shocking ferocity while guards scrambled in panic. People say the chaos was so explosive that an emergency lockdown had to be ordered across the entire...
His dedication and commitment to the craft. Because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Entire facility. The idea that a high-profile inmate like King could be dragged into something this raw and public has left fans shaken. And the internet is in overdrive trying to make sense of what really happened. In the middle of the chaos sits T.I., the father who built his reputation on strength, hustle, and a larger-than-life image. Now, people close to the family claim he hasn't slept since the news broke. Friends describe him pacing, making frantic phone calls to attorneys, politicians, and anyone with influence inside the system. Whispers say he is even ready to cut deals, sign documents, and spend millions if that's what it takes to shield his son from another round of violence. And yet, in spite of all the effort, the narrative online keeps growing darker. Rumors about payback, vendettas, and old grudges keep flooding in, leaving more questions than answers. Tiny, on the other hand, has reportedly turned their home into a war room. People close to her describe her locking herself
back, pointing directly at brewing conflicts inside the prison and enemies who had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. One source close to the Harris circle spilled that King had been marked for humiliation weeks ago. His fate sealed long before fists started flying.
Trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
So him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why?
Self away with publicists, lawyers, and managers, working day and night to control the story before it destroys the entire Harris brand. For years, the couple presented themselves as unshakable, their family as untouchable. Now, insiders claim the stress is tearing cracks through that perfect image. Arguments between T.I. and Tiny have reportedly turned explosive, with both pointing fingers at each other, blaming one another for King's choices and the dangerous path that led here. Some say these fights have gotten so heated that even their closest friends wonder if they are still fighting for their son or simply fighting each other while his life hangs in the balance beyond the family's private walls.
He walked into. And when the threats finally turned real, they weren't empty words anymore. They exploded into violent action that left King fighting for his life. The Harris family's response has been pure desperation.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So the deal involves Tiny and T.I.
Social media is drowning in speculation. Twitter timelines fill with sympathy posts, prayer emojis, and fans begging for updates. At the same time, an equally loud chorus mocks King, calling him soft, spoiled, and unprepared for the reality of prison life. Some say this was a long time coming, that his arrogance and privilege made him a target from day one. Others argue it was unfair for anyone to expect a young man raised on fame and television to survive in an environment where respect is earned in blood and silence. The divide is vicious, and every new rumor adds more fuel to the fire. The whispers from inside the facility are even more chilling. Anonymous voices claim this wasn't just a clash over respect, but a planned hit. The reason? Some allege it was payback for King flaunting his family's wealth and fame inside the yard, acting as if his name gave him power. Others suggest something even darker, pointing to rumors of a botched contraband deal or unpaid debt that made him a marked man. In the ruthless world behind bars, either of those possibilities would...
Friends close to them now wonder if they were still fighting for King's survival or just fighting each other, while their son's life dangles in the balance like a candle burning out.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many
would be enough to ignite violence. Then comes the most unsettling detail of all. Multiple blogs are repeating the same claim, that justice fists started flying. Surveillance cameras in the block suddenly went dark. The Georgia Department of Corrections has reportedly denied any technical problems, but skeptics aren't buying it. One former associate of T.I. summed it up bluntly in a quote circulating online. It's Georgia.
Only getting deeper by the hour. Here's where the story takes a dark, twisted turn. The whispers won't stop, and they're growing louder by the minute. People inside are saying this ambush wasn't about petty disrespect or some random jailhouse beef at all.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
The real rumor? A contraband deal gone sour. Some claim King either refused to play ball, or even worse, tried to finesse the wrong crew. And in a place where loyalty is blood currency, that's the fastest way to get yourself marked. So the question is, what really went down? Was this just a heated disagreement that spiraled out of control? Or was King Harris deliberately set up, betrayed from the inside out? Sources tied directly to the investigation swear there's evidence this was no accident. They claim King was lured to a quiet corner of the prison where at least 3 men were waiting to pounce. And just as the attack began, the prison's surveillance cameras mysteriously went dark. The Department of Corrections is already denying any technical glitch, but insiders aren't buying a word of it. As one of T.I.'s former road managers bluntly put it, it's Georgia. Cameras break when they need to break. That's all you need to know. That one line alone has fans convinced there is a cover-up in play. Dirty hands pulling strings behind the walls while King bleeds in silence. Meanwhile, King's condition remains unstable and the Harris family is cracking under the pressure. We've seen them close ranks before, but never with this level of desperation. Fans are already flashing back to that infamous Falcons game, when T.I. grabbed King in a headlock live on Instagram after yet another ugly argument about his upbringing. The world saw it all unfold, T.I. scolding his son with the harsh words, "You are embarrassing yourself and your family," while security swarmed and Tiny tried to calm the storm. At the time, most believed that was King's rock bottom.
My son. Think I ain't spoke to my son? Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas, his ass going to prison. If he goddamn keep it up, his ass going to prison.
Then he wanna talk about some other like this being shit. This being shit. No, I'm being real. You lying. You lying. You over here flagging. You're cat.
Cameras break when they need to break. That single sentence has fans convinced there is a cover-up in motion. With dirty hands pulling strings while King leads in silence. The alleged brutality of the attack itself has become the centerpiece of the story. Unverified descriptions talk about King's face swollen beyond recognition. His body limp and almost lifeless as guards dragged him away. Reports say he was rushed under armed guard to the prison infirmary, sparking chaos among staff and inmates alike. Some accounts even suggest the violence spread beyond him, with multiple prisoners left bloodied in the melee. Whether or not those details are true, the imagery is enough to fuel endless conversation, and then there is the psychological side of it all. People online keep pointing to King's old social media antics, his live streams, and his defiant statements as proof that he didn't understand the environment he was stepping into. Some remember the infamous Falcons game incident when T.I. grabbed him in a headlock live on Instagram, scolding him for embarrassing the family. At the time, many thought that was his lowest point. But now, with rumors of him lying in a hospital,
His own fire. Reports say that even while locked up, he couldn't resist flexing for social media, calling out rivals, hyping himself up as Atlanta's next big thing, and trying to project an image of untouchable power.
Stand by right here for me. There you go. I'm 10 extend, 1 detain. Spread your legs slightly. I just need to pat you down. Yes, sir.
There's one in the way.
Does your buddy have one as well?
hospital bed? It seems that moment was just a preview of something far more serious. For King, every day inside prison seems to have been psychological warfare. According to alleged insiders, he was mocked for his family's scandals, taunted with the accusations that have haunted T.I. and Tiny for years. They say he was called out for being too soft, too privileged, too loud in an environment where survival demands humility and silence. These relentless taunts, combined with his own attempts to flex, supposedly painted an even bigger target on his back. When the threats turned real, the result was catastrophic. Meanwhile, arrested the Harris children are caught in the blast zone of speculation. Their names are dragged through social media posts, their old pictures and moments from family hustle resurfacing as users spin theories and connect dots that may not even exist. The family brand, once polished and untouchable, is unraveling thread by thread under the spotlight. And with every leak, every rumor, the question grows louder. Was this attack on King a tragic accident of circumstance? Or was it the inevitable price of a family drowning in publicas? The dust from the ambush lingers. Fans are left hanging on every update, unsure what's real and what's rumor. What's certain is that the narrative has moved far beyond music or celebrity gossip. It's become a story about survival, pride, and the brutal reality of a system that doesn't bend for anyone. Not even the son of a rap legend. The story doesn't slow down here. In fact, it only grows heavier as more voices join the storm. People close to the prison system keep hinting that this was never about a single fight. They claim rival groups had their eyes on King the moment he entered the yard, waiting for the chance to make a statement. In that environment, a famous last name isn't protection, it's bait. What many outside don't understand is that prison politics move by their own set of rules, and those rules can flip in an instant. Rumors spreading online suggest that King may have tried to posture himself too loudly, talking tough, flexing status, even hyping himself up like
Day 1. It is no secret that his name has been dragged into the shadows of those persistent trafficking allegations, claims that first erupted years ago and simply refused to disappear. For many behind bars, those allegations weren't just tabloid noise, they were ammunition.
My son. Think I ain't spoke to my son. Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas. His ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep that shit up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had that conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Cause I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's gonna turn out.
Nigga, I ain't twisted. So what I'm saying is, they wasn't.
You can talk like that outside.
Hey, I can talk how the fuck I want to wherever I'm at. I'm on live, shawty. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. This ain't your fucking restaurant. This ain't your fucking restaurant. Everything you make, I can pull out my pocket right now. I ain't tripping on you. I ain't tripping. Get the hell out of my face. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
Stop talking to him, please.
Who the hell is he?
I'm working that work.
What's your name?
What's your name?
My name King. You know it and your mama know it.
Like he was still on social media. If true, those choices may have been read as arrogance inside the walls. And arrogance behind bars is like blood in the water. Anonymous inmates reportedly told bloggers that they warned him to watch his back. That his loudness and privilege would only make him prey. But if he did get warnings, it seems they went ignored. Instead, the whispers claim he doubled down, convinced that his family name could carry him through. That idea that celebrity could act as armor quickly collapsed when the attack came. Insiders say the ambush wasn't just violent, it was calculated. The part that fans keep coming back to is the chilling coincidence of the cameras cutting out right as it began. To many, that detail feels like confirmation that forces bigger than a few angry inmates were at play. One insider even called it Georgia politics, a phrase that sent social media spiraling into theories of backroom deals, payback favors, and institutional corruption. While fans argue over conspiracy or coincidence, the Harris household is reportedly imploding. Tiny has been described as frantic, overwhelmed with grief, while T.I. has turned combative. One source close to the family told an online outlet that their arguments are no longer quiet disagreements, but
Those words are death sentences. Whether it's gossip or cold truth, insiders agree. Crossing the wrong crew always gets paid back in blood. Add that to King's privileged upbringing, his old reality TV antics, and the Harris family's constant storm of controversy.
Treat mine like you treat yours.
Why y'all got so much time, bro? Why y'all always gotta have?
What is it about
It's not illegal to have.
Well, in the manner in which you portraying in the lifestyle, it don't look legitimate, sir.
Because I'm not supporting no whole. I'm not
Can't do it.
I'm not.
What kind of parents don't support their kids in little goddamn slide? Bigger than you. If you got look there. So just go the square pull up and they say, hey, who do you belong to? Who raised their hand? Somebody got to raise their hand. I've been seeing him around through there a lot. You gonna raise your own hand? I've been seeing him around too.
explosive. Confrontations where blame gets hurled across the room. Tiny is said to accuse T.I. of being too harsh, too controlling, and blind to how King was spiraling. T.I. in turn reportedly fires back that Tiny enabled their son's behavior, coddling him while he needed discipline. The image of a united dynasty is breaking apart in real time, with their son's life as the tragic centerpiece. Fans who followed the family Hustle era are shaken to see how much has changed. Once the family's reality show portrayed them as strong, loyal, and resilient. Now, the same fans scroll through endless clips of arguments, headlocks, and viral live streams that paint a far messier picture. Many wonder if the signs were always there, if the public just ignored them because the family's fame made everything seem entertaining instead of alarming. What makes the story even more twisted are the rumors that this beating might be tied to something beyond pride or personality. People online whisper about contraband, debts, and betrayal. One thread claimed King's name appeared in a prison ledger linked to an underground deal gone bad. Another hinted that he may have tried to outsmart the wrong crew. And in that world, betrayal is answered with blood. Whether those details are true or just internet speculation, the narrative has taken on a life of its own, blending fact, rumor, and imagination into a storm no one can contain. T.I. Single quotes as desperation has become another layer of spectacle. Stories describe him calling in favors from Atlanta elites, okay? Promising money, favors, even silence if they help pull his son out of danger. Some say he has even threatened to expose corruption inside the system if nothing is done. For a man once called the King of the South, watching him scramble and beg has been jarring for fans who grew up on his music. The internet has latched onto this contrast, turning it into endless debates over whether T.I. is being a desperate father or a powerful figure finally humbled by forces beyond his control. Tiny, meanwhile, has allegedly locked herself into media strategy. She's said to be working with her team around the clock to control the public narrative, painting King as a victim of systemic failure rather than his own choices. The family's PR machine is reportedly reaching out to sympathetic outlets, spinning the story as one of injustice.
That lesson in the harshest way imaginable. Inside a world where survival depends on silence, respect, and strategic alliances, the very thing that made King a household name, his high-profile status, may have turned into the deadliest weapon used against him.
A lot of people hit me up like, King, I know you tired, you ain't get no sleep, and the truth be told, before this look, I ain't been getting no sleep, you know what I'm saying?
But even as they try, leaks continue to flood the internet. Anonymous voices, screenshots, and alleged messages keep pushing the narrative in new directions, making every effort to control it feel futile. Outside, fans are caught in a tug-of-war between sympathy and scorn. Some are organizing prayer vigils online, hashtags demanding justice, and messages of support for the family. Others mock King relentlessly, dragging up old videos of him boasting, fighting in Waffle Houses, or clashing with T.I. Those old clips are being reshared as if they were foreshadowing, fueling the narrative that he was destined for this downfall. Then there are the darker voices, one suggesting that this beating wasn't the end, but the beginning. If King truly crossed the wrong people, they say, then even survival won't guarantee safety. The phrase "he won't survive another round" has been repeated enough times to haunt every discussion. Fans are left wondering if King is a young man paying the price for his arrogance, or if he is caught in something much bigger, something tied to old grudges, hidden deals, and a family name too heavy to carry behind prison walls. As the dust from the ambush lingers, new theories surface daily. And while none can be confirmed, one thing is clear: the Harris family's carefully built image is unraveling. And their fight is no longer about music, fame, or even pride. It is about survival, about clinging to control in a world that refuses to play by their rules. And for King, lying in an infirmary with his future uncertain, the brutal truth is that the walls around him don't care who his father is. The whispers didn't stop after the first wave of rumors. In fact, they grew sharper, darker, and more detailed as the days dragged on. Every hour seemed to bring a new twist, another piece of the puzzle that only deepened the sense of dread surrounding King Harris's situation.
King Harris burned like gasoline waiting for a spark. Many inmates looked at him and saw privilege they could never touch. The private schools, the flashy music videos, the luxury cars, and the kind of high-powered lawyers most could only dream of.
Anonymous insiders claimed the attack wasn't just about ego clashes or flaunted privilege, but something far more sinister. The word on the digital streets was that King had stepped into the wrong lane, brushing up against contraband networks inside the prison, where every promise, every debt, and every betrayal is paid back. In Pain. Blogs repeated the same chilling phrase again and again. This wasn't random. In those words, fans saw a bigger story, a calculated hit, something orchestrated in whispers long before the first punch was thrown. What made it all worse was the story that King was allegedly lured away from the main group of inmates into a quieter corner of the block. There, they say, 3 men were already waiting. Fists, boots, and rage turned the scene into what one rumor described as a storm of violence. The most haunting part: the cameras, once again, mysteriously failed at that exact moment. The Department of Corrections continues to insist there was no glitch. But skeptics online are laughing at that explanation. One
Crossfire, walking through a minefield of speculation. Social media is dragging their names into everything from messy paternity rumors to old, resurfaced family disputes. The line between private heartbreak and public humiliation is vanishing by the hour.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of woosah yourself outside of the public opinion. Then I think, because I tell you what,
One former associate of T.I. reportedly said bluntly, "Cameras in Georgia prisons don't break unless someone wants them to." It's the kind of line that sticks, fueling endless theories about cover-ups and backroom deals. Fans are now asking whether King was simply unlucky or if he was being used as a pawn in a bigger power game between rival crews or even corrupt officials. Inside the Harris family home, the emotional warfare is said to be just as brutal as anything happening in the cell blocks. Tiny is described as spiraling, overwhelmed with grief, desperate to shield her son's name. She reportedly believes King is being targeted unfairly because of the family's fame and their messy legal history. T.I., however, is said to be raging in another direction. Insiders claim he is furious, blaming King's own actions, his arrogance, and his refusal to listen to warnings. Arguments between the two parents are reportedly explosive, with friends whispering that this crisis might destroy the marriage altogether. Social media is only making things worse. Every fight, every contradiction, every rumor spreads like wildfire. One day, fans are posting heartfelt prayers for King's recovery. The next, they're resharing old videos of him boasting about his lifestyle, mocking him as someone who finally met the reality he tried to imitate. Clips of the infamous Falcons game headlock resurface again, with captions like "T.I. warned him." And the writing was on the wall. The internet has turned his struggle into a theater of speculation, where sympathy and scorn share the same stage. Then came the most unsettling rumor of all talk that King had been accused of snitching. Whether true or not, that word alone is poison inside prison walls. Once it's whispered, it becomes a death sentence, regardless of proof. Multiple anonymous voices claim that other inmates had started calling him out, questioning his loyalty and spreading the idea that he couldn't be trusted. In an environment where respect is everything, such an accusation is often more dangerous than any fist or blade, as if the family wasn't under enough pressure. Their own scandals have been dragged back into the spotlight. Old allegations tied to T.I. and Tiny resurfaced, plastered across blogs and timelines, fueling resentment inside and outside the prison. Inmates reportedly taunted King with those accusations, reminding him that his parents' fame was not protection but ammunition. What was once tabloid gossip became fuel for psychological warfare, breaking him down day by day. Fans who once watched Family Hustle now ask if the entire empire was built on a foundation too fragile to last. The glamorous image of loyalty and unity is being replaced by viral clips of arguments, fights, and meltdowns. Even within the family circle, people are said to be divided. Some relatives allegedly want to stay silent, terrified that speaking out will only make King more of a target. Others demand loud public defense, insisting the family must not look weak. Caught in the middle are the other children, dragged unwillingly into this storm as their names trend for reasons they never asked for. Meanwhile, King's condition remains a mystery. Some sources claim he's awake but weak. Others say he's still barely responsive. Without official confirmation, the speculation grows more feverish. Fans beg for updates. Critics mock every silence. And the Harris family scrambles to manage a crisis that seems to slip further from their control with every passing day. What makes this Moment feels so terrifying is the idea that the beating wasn't an end, but the start of something larger. If King truly crossed the wrong crew, if he really stepped into dangerous networks of contraband or debts, then survival this time doesn't guarantee safety the next. Insiders warn that even if he recovers, he will always be a target, a symbol, and a pawn in battles much bigger than himself. Through all the chaos, one truth cuts through every rumor and every theory. The Harris dynasty, once untouchable, is now fractured, desperate, and clinging to survival. The public sees not the polished image from television, but the raw cracks of a family consumed by scandal and struggle. And behind the prison walls, King Harris lies at the center of a storm he may not be able to escape. Interview 25 minutes and 12 seconds, 25 minutes and 38 seconds. The storm surrounding King Harris only deepened as the whispers kept multiplying, spreading from prison corridors to gossip blogs and finally exploding across mainstream feeds. What began as rumors of a savage ambush had now morphed into an entire saga filled with betrayal, corruption, and the unraveling of one of hip-hop's most talked about families. Insiders close to the situation described King's condition as fragile, unstable, and uncertain. One day, sources claimed he was awake, but in critical shape. The next, the narrative shifted to him slipping in and out of consciousness. With no official statements, the silence itself became part of the drama, leaving fans grasping at fragments and half-dashed truths. In the meantime, the family's response grew even more fractured. T.I. was described as relentless, calling in every favor, threatening to go public with accusations of corruption inside the Georgia prison system if something wasn't done. According to some voices online, he even hinted at having evidence of misconduct that could drag officials into the spotlight. Others said he was simply bluffing, a desperate father trying to hold on to the last weapon in his arse, in fear of exposure. Tiny, on the other hand, reportedly begged him to hold back, worried that stirring up more trouble would put King in even greater danger. Friends say their arguments turned brutal, each blaming the other for decisions that led to this moment. What had once looked like an unshakable dynasty now resembled a house on fire. With everyone trapped inside, the public was no kinder. Fans continued to split down the middle, some flooding social media with #PrayForKing while others laughed cruelly, dragging up old videos of him clashing with his father or boasting online. Every resurfaced clip added fuel to the narrative that King had been warned about where his choices would lead. One particularly viral post paired the Falcons game headlock moment with the caption, "From headlock to hospital-T.I. Saw it coming." This became the symbol of the entire saga, a reminder that the drama had been brewing long before the prison gates ever closed behind King. Inside the prison, anonymous voices painted an even darker picture. According to these accounts, King wasn't just the victim of one attack, he had become a bargaining chip, a pawn in the ongoing wars between rival groups. To them, he wasn't a person, but a message. Hurting him sent shockwaves through the entire yard, proving that fame and privilege mean nothing in a world where loyalty and silence are currency. The chilling part of these whispers was the suggestion that more violence could be coming, that the first ambush was only the beginning of a campaign to break him down piece by piece. The Harris name itself became a curse inside those walls. Inmates reportedly taunted King not just for his own behavior, but for the scandals that had haunted his parents for years. Old allegations resurfaced like ghosts, turned into weapons by men with nothing to lose. To them, dragging King's family into the mud was part of the psychological game, a way to strip him of any sense of pride or protection. Every insult, every rumor, every whispered threat piled on top of the violence, making survival as much a mental battle as a physical one. Meanwhile, stories kept swirling about a contraband deal gone wrong. Some claimed King had tried to finesse the wrong crew. Others suggested he refused to play ball altogether. The harshest rumor of all was that his name had been tied to whispers of snitching, a word that, whether true or not, could destroy anyone inside prison walls. Fans outside recoiled at the possibility. debating endlessly whether it was just gossip meant to smear him or a brutal reality he could never escape. As the days passed, the wider Harris family began to feel the fallout. Cousins, siblings, and even family friends found their names dragged into online discourse, accused of knowing more than they were saying. Screenshots, old interviews, and throwback clips were dug up, twisted into evidence of a bigger conspiracy. The once polished family image from the reality show era was now buried under layers of scandal, speculation, and public dissection. What terrified many observers most was the sense that this wasn't just one young man's tragedy. It was a collapse echoing across generations. Fans began asking out loud, had T.I.'s warnings about his son been prophecy all along? Was this saga the inevitable end of a boy raised in the spotlight? Trapped between privilege and rebellion, unable to walk either world fully? Or was King simply unlucky, caught in forces far larger than himself, forces that no amount of fame, money, or family power could shield him from? The unanswered questions hang heavy. Was the ambush purely about prison politics? Or was there a deeper game at play, with King used as leverage against his famous parents? Did corruption allow the attack to unfold in plain sight? Cameras breaking just when they were needed most? And perhaps the most haunting question of, how can King Harris even survive long enough to see freedom? Or has the weight of his last name sealed his fate? With no clear answers, the drama continues to spin, gripping audiences across social media, talk shows, and late-night conversations. What's clear is that this is no longer just about King. It's about a family, a dynasty, and a legacy being tested in ways no one saw coming. And as every rumor spreads, as every new detail drops, one thought keeps echoing through the noise. Sometimes fame isn't a shield, it's a target. And in the unforgiving world behind prison walls, targets rarely get second chances. The King Harris saga has become bigger than just one headline, one fight, or one family's drama. What began as whispers of a brutal ambush inside a Georgia prison has spiraled into a storm of rumors, theories, and emotional reactions that show no signs of slowing down. Fans are split, insiders are contradicting each other, and the Harris family itself is said to be locked in a desperate fight to hold everything together. For some, this is a tragic story of a young man caught between privilege and survival. For others, it's a cautionary tale about fame, arrogance, and the brutal reality of life behind bars. But the truth remains clouded. Was the attack a random eruption of violence or a carefully planned hit? Did prison corruption allow it to unfold, or was it simply the chaos of an unforgiving system? And most importantly, can King even make it through this storm alive? Or will the weight of his last name drag him down further? These are the questions fans are asking, and until real answers come, speculation will continue to run wild. What we do know is that the Harris dynasty, once untouchable, now faces its darkest chapter. Every leaked rumor, every resurfaced clip, every online debate chips away at the carefully polished image they've worked for years to build. The spotlight is no longer about music, money, or fame. It's about survival, respect, and whether a family can withstand the kind of public unraveling that millions are watching in real time. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think this was a planned ambush, or just prison chaos taken too far? Do you believe King Harris can turn this into a redemption arc? Or is this the beginning of the end for the Harris dynasty? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you found this breakdown eye-opening. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next shocking twist in this ongoing story. Because when it comes to the Harris family, the drama never sleeps in. Neither should you.